Okay, so today I'm going to go over another replay of my friend. This game he's playing Vayne. Again, this time I've already gone through the entire game and I've written down some notes on some of the plays, so I'm just going to go through them one by one. Hope you guys enjoy this, hope it's instructive, and let's get to it. So, he's playing Vayne, bot lane, and does a pretty good job farming. So let me just talk about the laning phase really quickly. Your goal as an AD carry. Your goal is to farm. CS is really important. If you think of your role on the team, you're kind of weak in the early game. You are very squishy. You're an easy target to kill. But if you do get lots of items, you scale really well. Your damage scales with your auto attacks. And so in a late game team fight, you can get off lots of auto attacks, more so even than a mage can get off spells. And that means you're going to be doing the most damage on your team. So you are extremely important. And in order to get to that point where you're important, you need to be getting lots of CS. So that's a really important thing to focus on during the laning phase when you're an AD carry. So let me skip ahead to the first point I have here. Okay, and my note is positioning in the trade. So I think what happens here is that Thresh lands a hook onto the Lulu. So let's wait for that to happen. Okay. So Thresh is gonna land a hook on this Lulu. So what would you do if you're in Vayne's situation? Lulu's in kind of a bad position. She's like pretty close to these minions, pretty far away from her own minions and her own laning partner. And she can get DPS by 2 people while this Caitlyn can't get any damage in. So that's kind of the key idea here. The idea being you want to have both people attacking Lulu while Caitlyn can't help. So as Vayne, you want to position yourself kind of behind this Thresh as far away from Caitlyn as possible while being in auto attack range of this Lulu. I think it is natural to want to get a condemn off on the Lulu, and it probably makes sense to get the condemn off, but you need to really be careful to not get hit by Caitlyn here. So what happens? What happens is Vayne walks up here. I think she auto attacks first. If you really want to get the condemn off, you need to get it off immediately. I would do it before waiting for an auto attack. And then you need to get out of range of Caitlyn. But she's in range of Caitlyn and is going to take a ton of damage here. 1 auto attack, 2 auto attacks, and then Caitlyn gets exhausted. So in this trade, Vayne lost about half of her HP. She probably could have lost a lot less. I don't know how much damage Lulu did to her, but she could have avoided a lot of damage from Caitlyn. She could have made it such that Thresh didn't have to waste his exhaust here. So that's just something to think about. A lot of fights in bot lane are dependent on the positioning of the people in lane. If you can get it so that their members are split up and you can 2v1 one person for even a few seconds while the other person runs to the fight, that's a really good situation to be in. So overall, let me talk about trades bot lane too. So overall, that wasn't a great trade, right? Like Vayne lost about half her HP, Thresh lost a lot of HP. They did get Lulu low, but something to think about bot lane is the AD carry's HP is a lot more important than the supports. And this is for a few reasons. One of the reasons is that when you come to lane, the AD carries only have 1 health pot each, and the supports have 3. So that's kind of a big deal. If you're trading, damage 1 for 1 with their support, and you're the AD, they're going to be able to heal that back a lot easier because they have 3 times as many health potions. The other reason is in general the AD carries are just stronger. A stronger champion, more powerful in lane in terms of what they can do in a fight, and so and also they need to go up to hit CS, right? And if they're too low, they might not be able to CS. So in general, not only is it easier for the support to heal back up, but it's more important to have your AD carry close to full HP than your support. So what does this mean? This means that if you have a trade in which, for example, Lulu loses a bunch of life and Vayne loses a bunch of life, that's not a good trade for Vayne. Vayne's not going to be happy about that. So let's just watch this again one more time and think about what happened as a result of this trade. So Thresh is at about 80%, Vayne's at about full, Lulu's at full, and let's see what happens as a result of this. Thresh lands a hook. This point's pretty good. Lulu's losing a lot of HP. Caitlyn's losing a lot of, So Caitlyn took very little damage here. Thresh took a lot, Lulu took a lot, and Vayne took a lot. Overall, I would say not a good trade for Vayne and Thresh. I think they lost maybe about the same amount of HP, but more importantly, I think they used more summoners because Thresh had to use his exhaust. And more importantly, Vayne lost more HP than Caitlyn. So that's a big deal. Okay, let's go to the next point. Okay, so this point is talking about back timings. So one of the really important parts of laning is understanding when to back. If you back at the wrong time, it could mean you miss out on CS. It could mean your opponents come back to lane and they have bought items and you don't get to buy items, and then you're at a huge disadvantage. It could mean a lot of things. So what do you need to think about when you're backing? You just want to find a good opportunity basically to back, such that you're not missing too many creeps. So ideally you want to push the wave to their turret and back. And another thing to think about is you don't want to wait too long, right? You don't want to stay in lane for 20 minutes and never shop, because your opponents are going to keep buying items and getting a lot stronger, and then they can kill you or force you out of lane and get your turret, etc. So maybe I should back up a little bit here. I think they might have forced them out of lane, so let me see what happens here.
From here, and you go to here.
Okay, so they killed. So what happened here is, let me back up a little bit more. Okay, so Yi is about to gank. Yi and Vayne have red buff, so this should be like a kill. It's important to keep in mind whether or not you have red buff if you're going for a kill like this. Makes things a lot easier. So they should be able to get the kills here.
What?
So Yi goes around. Vayne goes, yep. Easy kill there. Should be another easy kill here. Yep, okay.
Oh my God.
So anytime you get a kill, you should be really thinking about going home as soon as possible, because you have a great opportunity to back. You have a great opportunity to push the wave to their turret and back, and your opponents can't punish you at all because they're off the map. So if I'm in Vayne's position here, I'm really thinking about trying to go back. Another reason you might want to go back after getting kills is that you now have a bunch of gold that you can spend. So what I would have done here if I was in Vayne's position is I would have killed these 6 creeps and backed, right? You have like almost 1500 gold you can spend. You're not going to be able to get this turret here, so something to maybe think about is getting the first turret. But I think there's already been first turret gold in this game, so you're not going to get the first turret gold. You're just going to get the regular gold from killing a turret. And in general, I think you just really want to back here. So let's just see what actually happens, because that's going to give a nice contrast to my play. So they stick around, they're dealing damage to the turret, so they do get to get off some turret damage. Okay, but now their bot lane is back, and their bot lane has gotten to shop, and Vayne has not gotten to shop. Vayne has 1500 gold, that he has not been able to spend, and that's going to make Vayne a lot weaker in lane. So let's see what happens. So now Caitlyn's back. Caitlyn's gotten to buy items. So Caitlyn should be stronger than Vayne here. Okay, Yi's coming for a gank.
Oh shit. I should have just stuck with it.
Okay, they're going for a turret dive here. Let's see what happens. Nothing really happens, right? So now Vayne's at about half HP. Caitlyn's at half HP. And this all happened with a gank. Right? So imagine if there was no gank, or imagine if the gank came from the opposite team's jungler. Things would be even worse. And now I think Caitlyn should be able to push the wave back towards Vayne's turret, maybe even get Vayne's turret, or maybe force Vayne to have to go back home. So let's see what happens here. So now Vayne is backing. So what's going to happen now? Caitlyn's going to be able to push the wave to Vayne's turret, and it looks like she's going to be able to get Vayne's turret, because Vayne's turret is really low. So as a result of not backing at the right time, Vayne is going to end up losing her turret and missing out on CS. So it's really important to back at the right time here. Let's go to my next point. Okay, so my next point is actually in this fight here. This is a fight that we just saw, but there's something I want to talk about in this fight. So I think, so my note here is that she needs to use Q right away. So, okay. So you're fighting this Caitlyn, you're way stronger because you have red buff. So you just need to chase and get as close to Caitlyn as possible, right? So I think she just needs to Q a lot sooner. So she doesn't Q at all. So let me go back to that really quick. So remember, when you're trying to close distance, you want to be using your Q every time it's off cooldown when you're playing Vayne. So it's off cooldown right now, you need to Q right now. Yeah. So that doesn't happen, and Caitlyn gets to get away. So that's just a minor thing, but important. Yeah, you want to use it every time it's up. Okay. And another note about Qs when you're playing Vayne is you want to use your Qs to get back to lane faster. So anytime you're using a champion that has any kind of like speed up, any dash, it's almost always worth using up your mana to get back to lane faster. Again, you might notice a theme in a lot of the points that I make in these videos is you want to be very efficient with your time. Getting back to lane faster, backing at the right time, these can save you precious seconds that mean you get more gold and more experience in lane. Okay, so yeah, I would have liked to see Vayne queuing back to lane. Okay, let's see the next point. Okay, so this is something that comes up a lot, bot lane. Because you're playing with a partner, right? So whether you're the AD carry or the support, you have a partner in lane, and sometimes they're going to go in at the wrong time. So what do? Do you go help them? Potentially both of you guys die, or do you just let them die? So what is the situation here? The situation here is everyone on the opposing team is missing, right? So when everyone on the opposing team is missing, you really want to be very hesitant about going in for a fight, about initiating a fight. Like if I'm Thresh right now, I'm going to be very hesitant about trying to go in and hook someone. So what happens here? Thresh is going in and hooking someone, right? So if I'm Vayne, I can probably try to get some damage off on Lulu, but I'd be very careful about it, and I would try to stay at like max range. So let's see what happens here. Hecarim's here, right? and we don't know where their mid laner is either, so the mid laner could be here too very easily. You need to be very careful when you have a champion like Lulu. It can be deceptive that yes, Lulu's at low life, but she has an ult that puts a gigantic shield on her, so she's really virtually at like half life right now or more. So it's not going to be so easy to kill her. Caitlyn can also heal her. Okay, so she ults, and yeah, everyone dies there. So what would I have done in that situation? I probably would have just let Thresh die. As soon as he like goes in on that hook, I would have just stayed back, because yeah, having your AD carry die is really bad, because your AD carries off the map and can't farm for that long. So if just the support dies, it's pretty bad, but it's not super bad. This is really, really bad. These are the kinds of mistakes that I think are pretty easy to avoid and very, very important to avoid. You don't want to die to random stuff like this. You want to be very careful when people are missing on the opposing team, and you can potentially get ganked. You also want to think about what kind of ultimates the jungler has. So in this case, Hecarim has an ultimate that like zooms him forward really quickly, which means that he could very easily be right next to you very quickly, and you want to always be thinking about that. You want to always be thinking about the worst case scenario. Okay. My next point is at about 20 minutes. So this is something that comes up a lot. You're pushing a lane, the enemy team is pushing a different lane. Should you back? Should you keep pushing? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit here. So what's the situation here? They get a kill. Okay, great. And now they're pushing top. And there's 4 people. But the enemy team is pushing mid. So what do you want to be thinking about these situations? There's honestly a lot of things you want to think about. Basically it boils down to thinking about who is going to be pushing faster. Whichever team is pushing faster, they can keep pushing, and it's on the other team to have to back and come and defend. So in general, when you're in this situation, the team that has to back is at a disadvantage. Why is that? It's because both teams are at the turret, right? So in the time it takes the enemy team to back animation, get back to their base, run back to the lane, the other team that's kept pushing that entire time can get a turret, maybe get 2 turrets, etc. So it's really kind of like a game of chicken, and you don't want to be the first one to back off. But at the same time, if your team is pushing more slowly than the other team, you're kind of forced to, otherwise you're going to lose your base. So that being said, we need to try to evaluate quickly which team is pushing faster. So this is going to depend on a few things. It's going to depend on the wave. It's going to depend on which turret each team is at. It's going to depend on how many people are pushing on each team and what types of champions are pushing on each team. So let's look at a Vayne's team right now. There's a Vayne, a Nasus, and a Master D. Okay, so AD carries push a lot faster than AP carries. That should be pretty obvious, right? You can't use spells on turrets. You can only auto-attack turrets. So they are going to push extremely quickly, right? Caitlyn and Lulu, the Caitlyn will push quickly, but the Lulu will not. And so I would say that in this situation, you want to keep pushing, because you're going to put a ton of pressure on the opponents. Not only that, but you have a numbers advantage here. It looks like there's 3 people dead on the other team. Or wait, is this not Master Yi here? Oh, this is a Diana. It's not Master Yi, sorry. But still, you have Nasus and Vayne, which are going to push a lot faster than Caitlyn. And those are the only 2 people left on the map for the other team. And there's 4 on this team. So if you have a numbers advantage, you probably want to be pushing. So I would definitely keep pushing here. Thresh is not going to push much faster, and I'm not sure about how quickly Echo pushes. But so Thresh or Echo should back here and help defend. And I think that Nasus and Vayne should keep pushing. Just off the top of my head, I'm guessing you can get 2 turrets here. So I think you should kill. You should be getting 2 turrets here, right? So this is one of those situations where you're getting a bunch of kills. You've killed enemy champions. Now you should reap the rewards of that, and you should get some turrets. So what happens?
And then I can't.
Thane backs here. So I think this is a really bad decision. And let's see what comes of it. So I don't know if they're gonna get. They're probably gonna get this top turret. Vane's running back to lane. Running back to lane. Running back to lane. Thresh is coming. And the turret, I mean, she got to save the turret, but it almost died anyways. Wow, and Thresh might die here. Thresh dies. So Vayne saved the turret, but at the cost of a champion kill. Maybe these guys will catch up. But the point is, like, you have to back. You have to wait for your back animation to finish, and then you have to run all the way to the turret. In that time, they get to keep attacking. So, yeah. So in that situation, especially as an AD carry, you probably want to keep pushing. Okay. So there's actually a team fight that's going to break out here, right? And if you're in a situation like Vayne's situation, you want to think about, okay, I'm at such a low health total. Vayne's at about 20% HP. Can I help this fight, or should I back? Is it the case that I'm just at too low HP, if I run in, I'm getting instantly killed? So I think if you're an AD carry, more so than any other champion, you can actually just kind of stay on the outskirts of the fight, auto-attack some minions, maybe auto-attack some champions, and lifesteal back and help. So if I were Vayne in this situation, I would be running up to these creeps and lifestealing safely, away from any enemy champions. If I can lifesteal back to close to half HP, then I can get back in the fight and help out. So that's what I would have liked to see here. Vayne kind of backs, is indecisive about it, comes, starts the lifesteal, and then backs off. So I really think Vayne could have helped in this fight, and it would have made a big difference because he is very close to killing everyone. I think if Vayne is still there, they would have been able to win that. So it's something to think about. Let me think of kind of a framework that you can use. So having an extra champion in a fight, even if they're at low HP, is a huge, huge deal. And being able to swing a fight like that, so say Vayne helped, maybe Master Yi survives, and maybe 2 other enemy champions die. That's kind of a 3 champion swing there, a 3 kill swing. So it's like 100 gold or whatever, or 1,000 gold. So that's a really big deal. And so I think if there's, if there's a reasonable chance that you can help out in a fight, then you should stick around, even if you're at low. But you need to be very careful not to die, right? So if I was Vayne, if I was trying to help out in that fight, I would always stay very safe. Try to always stay on the outskirts of the fight and not give my enemies a free kill, basically. Okay. Okay, so this next point is going to be similar to when they were top. So usually if you're an AD carry, the rule of thumb is, if you're just trying to decide between should I back and help defend, or should I keep pushing, I would always keep pushing. Because you just do so much damage to turrets that you're going to put the other team under a lot of pressure if you keep pushing, and if you back, you're basically losing all that pressure. Okay, so what's happening here? Everyone's alive on the map right now. The enemy team is showing up mid, right? So 3 people just showed up mid. And Vayne's pushing bot. Still pushing bot. Okay, so there's either 4 or 5 enemy champions mid, and Vayne is here. So what do you do in this situation? And they killed Nasus on Vayne's team, right? So Vayne's team is at a disadvantage. So you have to think about what will happen if I back and help defend. What will happen if I keep pushing? I think if Vayne keeps pushing here, she'll get 2 turrets. This one's really low. She's got a big wave. She does a ton of damage to turrets. I think she'll get 2 turrets. What will happen if she backs? Will she be able to help defend? And I think the answer is no. I think her team is at a disadvantage. Echo is top. Yi's kind of out of position. Looks like Thresher's also out of position. Everyone's out of position, not in a good position to defend. So I think that if Vayne does back, that they will still lose all the mid turrets. And possibly probably the inhibitor too. Once the turret's gone and it's a 5v4, it's pretty difficult to defend the inhibitor. So I think it's a really clear choice to keep pushing here. Maybe counterintuitive, because it looks like you're losing your base, but you're not really going to be able to help defend it anyways. So I would have really liked to see Vayne get both turrets down here. Get this one and the next one. So she ends up backing. And let's see what happens. Okay, Yi gets a kill, that's pretty good.
Okay.
But the enemy team is pushing. And they get the inhibitor. So Vayne really didn't accomplish too much by backing here. And she could have got another turret if she kept pushing. So that's just my point here. Pretty similar to that other point when they were top lane. Okay, here's another really huge thing that's very important. So this is about your positioning on the map when Baron is live. So Baron is live, right? We're about 24 minutes into the game. So you want to be really aware of where you are on the map. If you put too many people on your team bot lane, for example, let's say 2 people go bot lane, it's really easy for the opposing team to just go do Baron, because you're not going to be able to go help in time. So if you're an AD carry, I know it's really tempting to want to go farm bot lane, but in general I think it's a bad idea. If anyone's going to go farm the lane that's opposite of the map of Baron, it should probably be someone with teleport or some other kind of ult that can teleport them to the Baron pit so they can help. So yeah, so Vayne is really far away and the enemy team gets to do Baron. Was it Vayne's fault? I'm not sure the enemy team knew that Vayne was there and if that's why they did Baron, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you just don't want to be that far away from Baron. Especially as an AD carry, because as an AD carry you don't have any way to teleport across the map, so you're really putting your team in a bad situation. So that was my point there. Be very aware when Baron's up. You can't be that far away from it unless you have teleport. Okay. So my next point is coming up. It's about positioning. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so I think there's going to be a team fight here, and Vayne's positioning is not perfect. So let's see. So the situation here is the enemy team has Baron, they're pushing top, looks like Diana's mid, and they have 4 top pushing. Vayne's team is all 5 defending the top turret, which makes sense. Okay, so they hook Lulu. So what do you do here if you're Vayne? Lulu is hooked, the rest of her team is kind of back here. You should be able to kill Lulu, honestly, with 5 people. Oh, no, actually, E is mid now. So with 4 people, still, you should be able to probably kill Lulu or get her very close to death with that hook. So Vayne ulted here. I probably wouldn't use Vayne ult here. I would save it for another point where it's more important, where you really need the stealth. And I would just stay max range and start auto-attacking this Lulu. Maybe not even use my Q. Maybe save my Q. And also the positioning here is really crucial. Like, Vayne got close to Lulu, which makes her closer to everyone else. If Vayne is more closer to her turret, she can still get damage off on the Lulu while being in a safer position. So, okay, now she's in an okay spot back here. Maybe it's better to be here, but that's not terrible either. But still, I think the ult was really wasted here. When Lulu gets hooked, you should just be trying to get a few auto attacks off on her, force her to flash or whatever. Okay. So the fight continues. And positioning here is again not perfect. You want to be like closer, you want to be over here closer to your turret. Moving in here puts you in range of multiple people. So I would have liked to see Vayne closer to turret attacking Hecarim as opposed to attacking Caitlyn. I think this is Caitlyn. Oh, it's Gangplank. Yeah, but I would have liked, so yeah, she ends up taking a ton of damage there just because of the positioning, because she's so close to Gangplank. And ends up dying for it. Could have flashed there at the end to try to get Nasus hit by the ult, but that's kind of minor. The most important thing here is definitely positioning, so you always want to be in a position where you are as safe as possible while dealing damage to the closest target. Usually that's going to be their tank. So in this situation, it would have been the Hecarim because their tanks are the ones that are farthest up. So as an AD carry in team fights, if you can get to the back line and nuke their carries, it's amazing, but it's very difficult, very unlikely. The most likely scenario is that you want to be your back line and you want to be attacking their front line. So you want to be really far back and attacking their Hecarim while you're out of range of their Gangplank, Caitlyn, etc. So usually your role in a team fight is to kill the tanks before your opposing team kills your tanks. Okay, and I have one more point here. Let's see if I can remember. Oh, I think this is a pathing thing. Okay. So the situation here is there's two enemy laners in the bot lane. And they're trying to, so they're kind of out of position, honestly. So this is something you don't want to do. So the enemy team has two people pushing up here in the bot lane, presumably by themselves. This is a good way to throw a great advantage, right? So the enemy team is really winning hard. They've gotten almost every turret on the map. They've gotten an inhibitor. There's an open inhibitor mid. Just having two stragglers bot lane this far up that can easily get picked off can throw away your lead very quickly. So Vayne wants to try to kill these people, right? It's maybe, okay, Hecarim's dead too. So it's almost definitely just these two people here. So as Vayne, I would have liked to just go around the back and get them. Let's see what happens. Thresh goes in, and now Vayne is kind of indecisive about which way to go. You want to just keep going back around, right? If you go around this way, they can just run away. If you go this way, yeah, I mean, it's probably going to take you the same amount of time to get to Thresh either way, and he's probably going to die before you get there. But, well, if he throws you a lantern, it would be ideal, but I don't think he throws a lantern here. You usually just want to be cutting people off. So, yeah. Too indecisive with the pathing there. Ends up going the back way and then can't get the kills. So, yeah. Just because of a minor thing there. In general, you don't want to be very indecisive with your movements, especially something like that. Once you start trying to go around, you should probably just commit to going all the way around. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and please give me any feedback. It will be very useful. I'm kind of learning as I go, and I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.